a modern cinematic audiobook inspired by The Psychology of Money. INTRO, the silent force that shapes everything. Close your eyes for a moment and think about the last time money made you feel something. Maybe it was relief. Maybe it was fear. Maybe it was a quiet anger you couldn't explain. Here's what most people never realize. Money isn't just numbers in a bank account. It's not spreadsheets or investment portfolios or retirement plans. Money is emotion. It's identity. It's the invisible thread connecting your past, your present, and the person you're becoming. I want to tell you a story. There's a janitor who worked at a gas station his entire life. He wore the same jacket for 20 years. He drove a beat-up car. When he died, people expected nothing. But this janitor left behind $8 million. $8 million. Not from luck. Not from inheritance. From something far more powerful, understanding how money actually works in the human heart. And then there's the Harvard graduate. Brilliant mind. Six-figure salary by 30. By 40, he had lost everything. Bankruptcy. Broken relationships. A life that looked perfect on paper but crumbled in reality. What separated these two people wasn't intelligence. It wasn't opportunity. It was something deeper. Something that schools never teach. Something that most financial advisors completely miss. Over the next hour, we're going to explore the hidden psychology behind money. Not tips and tricks. Not get-rich-quick schemes. But the fundamental truths about how humans actually behave when wealth, fear, and identity collide. This isn't just about becoming rich. It's about becoming free. Let's begin. Section 1. The stories we inherit. You didn't choose your first money lesson. It chose you. Picture a child watching their parents argue in the kitchen. The words are sharp. The tension is thick. And at the center of it all, a stack of unpaid bills on the table. That child doesn't understand interest rates or budgeting. But their nervous system is recording everything. Fear. Shame. The belief that money equals survival. Fast forward 20 years. That child is now an adult, and they're terrified to check their bank account. They don't know why. They just feel it. Here's the truth. Your relationship with money was written long before you earned your first paycheck. It was written in the household you grew up in the decade you were born, in the economy your parents survived. Someone who grew up during a depression sees risk differently than someone who grew up during a boom. It's not right or wrong. It's just their reality. Most financial advice ignores this. It treats everyone like they should think the same way, act the same way, want the same things. But your money story is as unique as your fingerprint. And until you understand your story, you'll keep making the same mistakes. You'll wonder why you overspend when you're stressed. Why you hoard when you don't need to. Why wealth feels uncomfortable even when you've earned it. Your past isn't a prison. But you have to see the walls before you can walk through them. Let's move deeper. Section 2. The invisible finish line. There's a game most people play without realizing it. It's called enough. But here's the problem. Nobody knows where the finish line is. Imagine a man who works 80-hour weeks to afford a bigger house. He gets the house. Then he wants a better car. He gets the car. Then he looks at his neighbor's vacation photos and feels behind. The goal keeps moving. The finish line keeps disappearing into the fog. This isn't greed. This is human nature colliding with a world designed to make you feel insufficient. Psychologists call this the hedonic treadmill. You achieve something, feel a burst of happiness, then return to baseline. So you chase the next thing. And the next. And the cycle never stops. Here's what changes everything: deciding what enough means for you. Not for your parents. Not for social media. For you. What if enough was a peaceful morning with coffee and no alarm? What if enough was time with your kids before they grow up? What if enough was the freedom to say no to things that drain your soul? The wealthiest person isn't the one with the most. It's the one who needs the least to feel whole. This isn't about lowering your standards. It's about raising your awareness. Because the moment you define your own finish line, you stop running someone else's race. And that's when real wealth begins. Section 3: The Compound Miracle. Let me tell you about the most powerful force in the universe. It's not ambition. It's not genius. It's time. Imagine two people. Sarah starts investing at 25. She puts away $200 a month. By 35, she stops. She never invests another dollar. Just lets it sit. Then there's Mike. He waits until 35 to start. He invests $400 every month for the next 30 years. Twice as much as Sarah. For 3 times as long. Guess who ends up with more money? Sarah. By a landslide. This defies logic. It frustrates the ambitious mind. But it reveals something profound. Consistency over time beats intensity every single time. Your brain doesn't naturally understand exponential growth. You see small numbers and think they don't matter. 1% better today? What's the point? But here's the magic. 1% compounded daily doesn't just add up. It multiplies. It explodes. It transforms the invisible into the inevitable. This applies to everything. Your health. Your relationships. Your skills. The small decisions you make today are quietly building the life you'll live in 20 years. Most people overestimate what they can do in 1 year and underestimate what they can do in 10. The secret isn't working harder. It's starting earlier. It's staying longer. It's trusting the process when nothing seems to be happening. Because the miracle isn't loud. It's quiet. Patient. Relentless. And it's available to anyone willing to wait. Section 4: The survival instinct that sabotages you. Your brain is trying to protect you. But it's using ancient software in a modern world. 10,000 years ago, your ancestors faced life or death decisions daily. A rustling bush could be food or a predator. Hesitation meant death. So evolution wired your brain for one thing: survival. Fast forward to today. You're checking your investment account, and the market drops 10%. Your heart races. Your palms sweat. The same neurochemicals that helped your ancestors escape lions are now screaming at you to sell everything and run. This is why smart people make terrible financial decisions. It's not stupidity. It's biology. When you see your money shrinking, your amygdala, the fear center of your brain, hijacks rational thinking. You feel physical pain. Your body doesn't distinguish between losing money and losing safety. So you panic. You sell low. You buy high when everything feels safe again. You do the exact opposite of what works. Here's the shift: understanding that fear isn't giving you accurate information. It's giving you ancient information. The market will drop. It always has. It always will. But over decades it climbs. The only people who lose are the ones who let fear make their decisions. This isn't about ignoring risk. It's about recognizing when your survival instinct is lying to you. Because in the modern world, patience is the predator. And panic is the prey. Section 5: The Fragile Empire. There's a difference between being rich and being wealthy. And most people never learn it until it's too late. Being rich is having money. Being wealthy is having time, options, and breathing room. You can be rich and fragile. A high income with high expenses. An impressive lifestyle built on debt. One layoff, one medical emergency, one bad quarter, and the whole thing collapses. Wealth is different. Wealth is the money you don't see. The savings you don't touch. The investments that grow quietly while you sleep. Let me paint a picture. 2 people are in the same salary. One drives a luxury car, lives in an expensive neighborhood, posts vacation photos that make everyone jealous. The other drives a modest car, lives below their means, and nobody notices. 10 years later, the first person is stressed, overleveraged, and trapped. The second person has options. Freedom. The ability to walk away from things that don't serve them. This is the paradox. True wealth is invisible. The millionaire next door doesn't look like a millionaire. And the person who looks like a millionaire is often drowning in payments. Psychologically, this is brutal. Because humans are wired to signal status. We want people to know we're doing well. But every dollar spent on signaling is a dollar that can't compound into freedom. The question isn't, can I afford this? The question is, what am I giving up by buying this? Because everything has a hidden cost. And the most expensive thing you can buy is other people's approval. Section 6. The luck you don't control. Here's an uncomfortable truth. Some people win because they were born in the right place at the right time. And some people lose despite doing everything right. This isn't fair. It's just reality. You can work hard, make smart decisions, and still get unlucky. A recession hits. A company goes under. A health crisis wipes out savings. Skill matters. But so does randomness. And here's the twist: successful people hate admitting this. Because if luck played a role in their success, it means they're not entirely in control. It threatens their identity. So they create stories. They convince themselves it was all skill, all vision, all hard work. And then they take risks that assume the universe will keep cooperating. This is where empires crumble. Not from lack of intelligence. From lack of humility. The antidote is simple but profound: plan like skill matters, but prepare like luck exists. Have a margin of safety. Expect things to go wrong. Build buffers. Don't optimize so tightly that one bad break destroys everything. Psychologically, this is about holding two truths at once. You are capable. You can influence outcomes. But you are also small in a big, unpredictable world. The people who thrive long-term aren't the ones who never fail. They're the ones who survive their failures and keep playing the game. Because luck is a wheel. Sometimes it lifts you. Sometimes it crushes you. But only the ones still standing when it turns again get to win. Section 7. The room that changes everything. Imagine walking into a room where everyone is a genius. Everyone is accomplished. Everyone seems to have it all figured out. How do you feel? Inspired? Or inadequate? This is the power of environment. It shapes your behavior more than your willpower ever could. If you're surrounded by people who overspend, you'll overspend. If you're surrounded by people who invest, you'll invest. Not because you're weak. Because you're human. Behavioral psychology shows that context is king. Your decisions are largely determined by what feels normal in your immediate environment. This is why someone can move from a modest hometown to a wealthy city and suddenly feel poor. The income didn't change. The comparison did. Here's the shift: you can design your environment. You can choose the rooms you walk into, the voices you listen to, the standards you're surrounded by. Want to save more? Surround yourself with savers. Want to build wealth? Study the habits of the wealthy, not their possessions. This isn't about faking it or pretending. It's about recognizing that your environment is either pulling you toward your goals or away from them. Most people try to fight their environment with motivation. But motivation is a feeling. And feelings fade. Environment is architecture. It doesn't require you to feel inspired. It just requires you to show up. Build the right room, and the right behaviors become effortless. Section 8. The price of admission. Everything worth having has a cost. But the cost isn't always on the price tag. The stock market will make you wealthy over time. But the price of admission is volatility. Watching your portfolio drop 30% and not panicking. That's the cost. Most people see the downturns and think the system is broken. They think they're being cheated. But they're not. They're just being charged the entrance fee. Here's the reframe: volatility isn't a fine for doing something wrong. It's a fee for the opportunity to grow. If investing was easy, everyone would be rich. The difficulty is what creates the returns. The discomfort is what separates those who win from those who quit. This applies everywhere. Want a meaningful career? The cost is uncertainty. Want deep relationships? The cost is vulnerability. Want freedom? The cost is discipline. Psychologically, we hate this. We want results without discomfort. Gains without risk. Growth without pain. But the universe doesn't work that way. Every reward has a price. And the people who succeed are simply the ones willing to pay it. The key is deciding which prices you're willing to pay. Not every goal is worth its cost. But the ones that are? Those are worth everything. Stop looking for shortcuts. Start paying your fees. Willingly. Consistently. Knowing that the cost is proof you're in the game. And the game is where all the magic happens. Section 9. The Identity Trap. Who are you when no one is watching? This question reveals everything. Because identity drives behavior more than logic ever will. You don't save money because it's smart. You save money because you see yourself as someone who saves. You don't invest for the future because it's rational. You invest because you've decided you're the kind of person who builds wealth. This is the deepest level of change. Not tips. Not strategies. But identity. Most people try to change their actions without changing their beliefs. They set goals without shifting who they think they are. And then they wonder why nothing sticks. Here's the truth. You will always act in alignment with your identity. If you see yourself as someone who's bad with money, you'll find ways to prove it. If you see yourself as someone who's building a legacy, you'll find ways to prove that too. This isn't motivational fluff. This is neuroscience. Your brain is a pattern-seeking machine. It looks for evidence that confirms your self-image. So the question isn't, what should I do? It's, who do I need to become? Do you need to become someone who values time over possessions? Someone who prioritizes freedom over status? Someone who thinks in decades instead of days? The moment you shift your identity, your behavior follows. Effortlessly. Naturally. Because you're no longer fighting yourself. You're becoming yourself. Section 10. The Two-Sided Coin. Optimism and pessimism aren't opposites. They're partners. The healthiest relationship with money requires both. Optimism to invest. Pessimism to protect. Think of a farmer. In the spring, they plant seeds with optimism. They believe the crops will grow. But they also prepare for drought. They save water. They diversify their fields. They don't assume everything will go perfectly. This is wisdom. Not blind faith. Not paralyzing fear. But a balanced tension between hope and caution. Most people swing too far in one direction. The optimists take wild risks and get crushed when reality bites. The pessimists hoard everything and miss opportunities. But the people who thrive? They hold both. They believe the future will be better, so they invest. But they also know the future is uncertain, so they prepare. Psychologically, this is hard. Because your brain wants certainty. It wants to know if things will work out or not. But certainty is a lie. The future is probabilistic. Some things will go right. Some things will go wrong. Your job isn't to predict which is which. Your job is to be ready for both. Have enough optimism to participate. Have enough pessimism to survive. Because the ones who make it aren't the ones who never fall. They're the ones who fall and get back up. Again. And again. And again. Section 11. The Seduction of Complexity. Simple is boring. Complex feels intelligent. This is why people lose money. Imagine two investment strategies. Strategy A. Buy low-cost index funds. Hold for 30 years. Do nothing. Strategy B. Analyze charts. Time the market. Trade frequently. Feel like a genius. Which one makes you feel smarter? Strategy B. Which one actually makes you wealthier? Strategy A. Buy a mile. Complexity is seductive because it makes you feel in control. It makes you feel like you're doing something. But in most cases, doing something is worse than doing nothing. Behavioral finance reveals a painful truth: the more you trade, the worse you perform. The more you tinker, the more you sabotage your own success. This isn't just about investing. It's about life. We complicate our diets. We complicate our goals. We complicate our relationships. And then we wonder why nothing works. Here's the shift: sophistication isn't complexity. Sophistication is simplicity executed with discipline. The wealthiest people don't have the most complicated strategies. They have the most consistent ones. They do the boring thing. Over and over. For decades. While everyone else chases the exciting thing and goes nowhere. This requires a different kind of intelligence. Not the intelligence to understand complexity, but the intelligence to resist it. Because the market rewards patience, not cleverness. And life rewards clarity, not confusion. Keep it simple. Keep it consistent. Keep it going. That's the formula. Section 12. The power of the unseen. What you don't buy is just as important as what you do. Every purchase is a vote. A vote for the life you're building. Or a vote against it. When you skip the unnecessary expense, you're not depriving yourself. You're investing in future freedom. You're casting a vote for the person you're becoming. But our brains don't work this way. You can't see what you didn't buy. You can't feel the compound interest on money you didn't spend. So it feels like nothing. This is the psychological trap. Spending gives you instant feedback. A new gadget. A nice meal. A dopamine hit. But saving? Saving is invisible. Delayed. Abstract. Yet over time, the invisible becomes everything. Think of it like this: every dollar you save is a soldier in your army of freedom. You can't see them. But they're working for you. Silently. Relentlessly. Multiplying in the shadows. The question is, are you building an army or are you spending your soldiers on temporary pleasures? This isn't about deprivation. It's about intention. Spend on what genuinely adds value to your life. But cut ruthlessly on what doesn't. And here's the secret: the things that truly matter, time, health, relationships, peace, they rarely cost what you think. The expensive life is often the empty life. And the simple life is often the richest. Choose wisely. Because every choice is shaping the future you can't yet see. Section 13. The Comparison Thief. There's a quiet thief stealing your peace. It's not a person. It's not a system. It's comparison. You're doing well. You're making progress. Then you see someone else's success, and suddenly your progress feels like failure. This is the curse of the modern age. We're exposed to more success, more wealth, more highlight reels than any generation in history. And it's destroying our contentment. Here's the psychology. Your brain doesn't measure wealth in absolute terms. It measures in relative terms. You don't feel rich or poor based on what you have. You feel rich or poor based on what others have. This is why a millionaire can feel poor in a neighborhood of billionaires. And why someone with little can feel abundant when surrounded by gratitude. The comparison trap has no bottom. There's always someone richer. Always someone more successful. Always someone whose life looks better from the outside. But here's what you're not seeing: their struggles. Their loneliness. Their hidden costs. You're comparing your behind the scenes to their highlight reel. The antidote is radical: compete with no one but your past self. Are you better than you were last year? Are you building the life that matters to you? Are you free or are you performing? Because the moment you define success on your own terms, the comparison game loses all power. You're not behind. You're not ahead. You're exactly where you need to be on your own unique path. And that path is sacred. Section 14. The Margin of Safety. Imagine crossing a bridge. It's rated to hold 10,000 pounds. How much weight would you put on it? 10,000? 9,000? If you're wise, you'd use 5,000. Maybe less. This is the margin of safety. And it's the difference between those who survive and those who collapse. In life, in money, in relationships, the unexpected will happen. The job will be lost. The expense will appear. The plan will fail. The question isn't if. It's when. And will you still be standing? Most people optimize for the best case scenario. They stretch their budgets to the limit. They assume everything will go right. And when it doesn't, they're devastated. But the people who thrive long term? They plan for the worst and hope for the best. They keep cash reserves. They avoid debt. They don't spend every dollar they make. Not because they're pessimistic. Because they're realistic. Psychologically, This creates something invaluable: peace. When you have a margin of safety, you sleep better. You make better decisions. You don't panic when the storm comes. Because the storm always comes. But it only destroys those who built their houses on the edge of the cliff. Build your house in the valley. Leave space for error. Embrace the buffer. It might feel inefficient. It might feel overly cautious. But when the earthquake hits, you'll still be here. And being here is the only way to win. Section 15. The long game. Patience is not a virtue. It's a superpower. In a world optimized for speed, the ability to wait is a rare and unfair advantage. Think about bamboo. You plant the seed. You water it. You care for it. For 5 years, nothing happens. No growth above the ground. Just silence. Then, in year 6, it shoots up 90 feet in 6 weeks. This is compound growth. This is the long game. And this is what separates legends from everyone else. Most people quit in year 2. They don't see results, so they assume it's not working. They chase the next shiny thing. The next quick fix. The next shortcut. But the people who win? They're still watering the bamboo. They understand that meaningful results don't show up on your timeline. They show up on reality's timeline. And reality moves slowly. Then all at once. Your brain fights this. It wants immediate feedback. It wants to know if this is working. But the most important things in life don't give you that feedback. Building wealth? Silent for years. Then explosive. Building a skill? Frustrating for months. Then effortless. Building a relationship? Uncertain at first. Then unshakable. The long game requires faith. Not in outcomes, but in the process. Trust that the small actions compound. Trust that the invisible is becoming inevitable. Trust that your patience is the price of admission to a life most people will never experience. Because the long game isn't crowded. Most people quit too early. Which means if you stay, you've already won. Section 16. The Freedom Formula. What is wealth for? Most people never ask this. They chase money without knowing why. They reach the top of the ladder and realize it's leaning against the wrong wall. Here's the truth: money's highest purpose is freedom. Not the freedom to buy more. The freedom to say no. The freedom to choose how you spend your time. The freedom to walk away from things that drain your soul. This is the formula: wealth equals options. When you have wealth, you can take the job that pays less but fulfills you more. You can leave the toxic relationship without financial fear. You can spend Tuesday afternoon with your kids because you don't need permission. But most people invert this. They accumulate possessions that steal their freedom. The big house with the big mortgage. The fancy car with the high payment. The lifestyle that requires constant striving just to maintain. They're rich. But they're not free. They're trapped in golden handcuffs. Real wealth is the ability to say, "I don't need to do this anymore," and mean it. Psychologically, this requires a shift. From acquisition to liberation. From more to enough. From impressing others to impressing yourself. Ask yourself, what would I do if money wasn't a factor? Then reverse engineer your life to make that possible. Because freedom isn't something you buy at the end. It's something you design from the beginning. And it's available right now. Not when you have more, but when you need less. Section 17. The story you tell. You are not your bank account. But you are the story you tell about it. Two people can have the same amount of money and live completely different lives. One feels rich. One feels poor. The difference? The narrative. One person tells a story of gratitude, progress, abundance. The other tells a story of lack, comparison, never enough. Same facts. Different stories. Different lives. This is the final frontier of wealth psychology. Not the money itself, but the meaning you assign to it. You can have $1 million and feel anxious. You can have $1,000 and feel abundant. Because wealth is first a state of mind, then a state of your account. Here's the shift: take ownership of your story. Stop letting society write it. Stop letting comparison write it. Stop letting fear write it. Write a story where you're enough. Where what you have is enough. Where the journey is the point, not just the destination. This doesn't mean lowering your ambitions. It means raising your awareness. It means recognizing that the story you tell yourself shapes the life you live. You are the narrator, the author, the main character. And you get to decide, is this a tragedy or a triumph? Is this scarcity or abundance? Is this fear or freedom? The money doesn't change, but everything else does. So tell a better story. One that honors where you've been. One that celebrates where you are. One that trusts where you're going. Because the story is the wealth. Section 18. The Quiet Revolution. There's a revolution happening. But it's not loud. It's not on the news. It's happening in the quiet decisions of people like you. People who choose time over status. People who value peace over possessions. People who build wealth not to impress but to be free. This is the new paradigm. And it's rewriting the rules. The old model said, work yourself to exhaustion, climb the ladder by the symbols, prove your worth. The new model says, design a life that doesn't need escaping. Build wealth that serves you. Prioritize what actually matters. This isn't anti-ambition. It's pro-clarity. It's pro-intention. It's pro-you. And it starts with a single decision. The decision to stop playing other people's games. To stop optimizing for applause. To stop sacrificing your life for a lifestyle. You have one life. One collection of days. And they're passing. Quickly. Quietly. Relentlessly. The question isn't, how much can I accumulate? The question is, how do I want to feel when I look back? Do you want to feel like you chased? Or like you lived? Do you want to feel like you performed? Or like you were present? Do you want to feel rich? Or do you want to feel free? The answers are personal. But the invitation is universal. Rewrite the rules. Design your own definition of wealth. Build the life that whispers, this is enough. This is good. This is mine. Because in the end, money is just a tool. And the people who master it aren't the ones who have the most. They're the ones who need it the least to feel whole. Ending, the person you're becoming. We've traveled through ideas, through psychology, through the hidden truths about money, behavior, and the human heart. But this was never just about money. It was about you. The person you're becoming. The life you're building when no one's watching. Here's what I want you to remember. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to start. To choose. To build, one decision at a time, a life that feels like freedom. The janitor with $8 million didn't have a secret formula. He had patience. Consistency. A quiet belief that time was on his side. You have the same tool. The same opportunity. The same choice. Will you chase? Or will you build? Will you compare? Or will you create? Will you perform? Or will you be present? The world will keep spinning. The noise will keep shouting. But somewhere, in the quiet, there's a version of you that's already free. That version is patient. Intentional. At peace. And they're waiting for you to become them. So start today. Not with everything. Just with one thing. One choice. One shift. Because the life you want isn't on the other side of more money. It's on the other side of better decisions. And those decisions start now. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing the path less traveled. Now go. Build. Become. The rest is already inside you.